Dark Fringe Radio.
Coming to you live from the Mistopheles Studios, it's Dark Fringe Radio.
Hey guys, it's Will Martinez here, and welcome to Dark Fringe Radio on another episode of the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, and of course, my co-host every week, Jay Colosi. What's up, brother? How you doing tonight?
Just another day in motherfucking paradise, my guy. Another day in motherfucking paradise.
Yeah, man, I hear you, man. Well, listen, thanks for coming on another episode of Dark Fringe Radio. This is episode 92, and tonight we have a very special. I know it's crazy, right? We're getting up there, brother. But tonight we have a very special guest, Mr. Vincent Lords. He is a very interesting dude.
Lords' brother, I know.
Well, he's kind of like a mentalist. He's a hypnotist, master hypnotist, excuse me, and also a paranormal investigator. He's been on TV all over the place. You've seen him on Ghost Adventures. He's good friends with Zach Bagans. He's always collecting creepy shit as well. We're going to be talking about his show Paranosis, which you can also follow at www.paranosis.com. So make sure you guys check that out as well, and give some love over to Vincent Lords. And of course, you can follow him on Instagram on VLords13 on Instagram. So make sure you check out all his stuff there. He posts really cool photos, behind the scenes stuff at Ghost Adventures, behind the scenes stuff at Paranosis. He's constantly busy doing stuff. So really looking forward to this interview with Vincent Lords. But of course, that's later on in the podcast. But for right now, I just wanted to let everybody let them know how you can listen to the podcast, of course, excuse me. You can go directly now, Jay, to our website, which I finally was able to take from the grass of other people. But it's darkfringeradio.com. No more WordPress. It's just darkfringeradio.com. You can go right there, Jay. And actually, you know what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do something a little out of the ordinary. And
You do something out of the ordinary? No way.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's going on at Dark Fringe Radio while we're on the podcast at the same time. So
what? Technology
at its best. So check this out. Going right there to darkfringeradio.com. Can you see that, Jay?
I can.
You see the website, huh?
I see the website.
So everything's here for you guys, man. Look, up here in the top right-hand corner are all the sites that you can go ahead and listen to directly. We have all this new section here, of course, which is the About Us, Contact Us. We also have a Dark Fringe investigation section, which we're highlighting. Of course, we're going to be talking about the Glades Correctional Facility. It's in there. I'm going to be uploading some EVPs that we captured there as well, so it'll be really interesting. Also, all the episodes are here for you as well. All the back episodes are here, and all the interviews that we've done with individuals. Now, I'm constantly, if you see here, I'm posting new stuff here on a daily basis. And you guys can click and share and actually even comment on some of these these postings that I'm putting up on a daily basis. Also, on the bottom, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can actually go here and watch our latest episode right on our website. Look at that, Jay.
What?
Isn't that some crazy ass shit? So you can literally watch our latest episode right off of our website. If you don't feel like going to any of the streaming services, right here you can just hit start. It'll start the YouTube show right there for you. The censored show, of course, is on the links here at the top, because, of course, YouTube is a little bit finicky with the algorithm, so we have to kind of censor ourselves on YouTube. But the uncensored show is on the links here up top. But if you want to listen to or watch the YouTube show right there, it's right there for you guys to check it out. So, yeah, there you go, man. A little preview of darkfringeradio.com. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And you can also follow us on our social media, which is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dark Fringe Radio. So not too bad, huh, there, Jay?
It looks professional and such, my guy. It's looking good. We got a lot of cool things. I also saw a little story on the Hadron Collider. You see that they're getting even closer to that teleportation technology you're so excited to be in line for?
Yep, I'm gonna be first one in it. That's right, man. Yeah, man, that's the latest.
Just so you guys know, when we were kids, we used to call him the freaking Rican for that exact kind of stupid shit.
Yeah, because I would do anything, almost just about anything. So, but yeah, listen, I'm really looking forward to that. But listen, I like to get into As the World Burns. Of course, there's a lot of shit that's going on right now. A lot of things, but one really interesting story, Jay, that I really wanted to bring up tonight and really talk about, which is you know who the rapper is, Lil Nas X, right?
I mean, we went to different colleges together, of course.
Well, from the very famous song Old Town Road that came out, what it was about a year or two ago, fucking blew up all over the fucking radio, and then he came out that I think he was gay. That was a big thing that also came out that, got the song to be played all over again. But now, Jay, a little bit of a controversy. I'm not sure if you've seen this or not, but he has decided to come out with a pair of shoes. And these particular pairs of shoes, he dubs them Satan shoes. And there's a little bit of an issue with this pair of brand of shoes here, Jay. So what happened was Lil Nas X came out with his own brand of shoe called Satan shoes. Supposedly, they basically borrowed the check swoosh logo from the Nike thing. Nike said, no, that's not happening.
Okay.
But basically, he sold out of these shoes. And supposedly, and I don't know how true this is, but every pair of shoe has a drop of blood from one of the workers who made the shoe. So, so again, right now, Jay, we're talking about this guy now who's selling these shoes that they're called Satan shoes. And, that has a drop of blood of the employee or the shoemaker in the actual shoe itself. Now, I'm sure you could probably see all the issues why Nike doesn't want to be involved with this whatsoever. First off, the satanic, of course, dialogue that goes along with it. And then now the blood. I mean, geez, I'm sure that's probably an issue with DNA.
First off,
out there. What do you think about this, Jay?
First off, how fucking dumb do you have to be to think that people want to buy shoes with other people's, like, a drop of blood? Like, that doesn't make it a collector's item for me. That makes it gross, and I don't want to wear it.
Well, apparently there's enough of those idiots out there, Jay, because it's sold out very quickly, and it's sold out at $1,000 a pair.
Sucker born every day.
There is, man, and $1,000 a pair of shoe, Jay. Can you believe that? $1,000 for this, and so Nike sent them back.
It kind of sounds like. Do you remember that whole what's his name? Last name is Ball. I can't think of his first name. Did you hear about this? There's a player for the Lakers.
Yeah. LeVar Ball.
LeVar Ball, thank you.
Yeah,
I could not remember his name. Yeah, he came out with the balls, and they were not. He had the balls. They were handmade. He sold them for like $800, and everybody got them. Nobody got what they ordered. No returns, and there was no customer service. So this dude just banked.
Yeah,
all that kinds of money. Played a whole bunch of people for suckers.
Well, I guess that's what the game plan was here, because I don't think there's going to be any execution of this shoe coming out. Number one, number two, because Nike just basically cutting that shit down. But it is actually going to go to court, Jay. So right now they are going to battle this in court. It's going to be actually kind of quite interesting to see how this actually plays out in court, because the maker of the shoe is saying that they're just using the swoosh as artistic expression. And that, a company can't, and Nike's like, nah, that's our logo. You can't use that. And then you're not going to use it on something called Satan shoe.
It would be, yeah, they're not going to let, well, first off, they're not going to let anybody use it, because that Nike branding, man, that's where it's at. And companies want to protect their intellectual property. They want those things that symbolize their product and what goes along with it, especially all the hard work. If it has a high quality, has a good name, especially like Nike. I mean,
right.
I have 5 pairs of Nikes.
Mm-hmm. I have a pair. Yeah. You know what? You know what the funny thing is, Jay? You know, it's funny that you always find these artists like these, whether it be a rapper or singer or whatever, and when they always want to try to be edgy, they always like go to the Satan tip or the devil tip. Don't you ever always notice that? That they always try, if they want to be edgy,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They like, that's like the like perfect go-to to go do that. You know what I mean?
Those are also the same guys that they win championship, get an award, have a great game. What's the first thing they do? Well, thank Jesus. God is great. Same ones. I listen.
So weird, right?
I'm not saying
Right.
I'm not saying that I don't understand marketing and the whole thing, but let's just be real. Okay. This is not one of those fences you can really split. Either you are one way or the other.
Let me ask you this. If he marketed it as Jesus shoes, you think it would have been different? You think then Nike would have been pressured into actually taking them on and saying, oh, come on, you can't go against Jesus. Come on, right? Jesus shoes? Now that would have been smart.
I think that's where you have to go. The problem is, I don't think the technology is ready to make Jesus shoes, because if you make Jesus shoes, they're going to have some kind of flotation device to allow you to walk on water.
Air Jesus?
You're going to have an extra power. I mean, hey, Will, I think you nailed it.
Oh, right after Easter. Jesus, Jay.
Sometimes my mouth.
No, the opinions of Dark Fringe Radio are effective to our advertisers.
What advertisers?
Exactly.
That's our cross to bear.
Yeah, that's our. Oh, geez, Jay. God, wow. I don't know what's going on. What's gotten into you tonight, Jay? Not the Holy Spirit. Wow. The spirits got into you. Yeah, not the holy ones, unfortunately. Well, listen, yeah, that's a great story. I mean, because I think it's, you always find these guys that every once in a while.
It's interesting.
Yeah. And then the weird part is the whole blood thing. I'm like, I don't know how that works out, man. I don't know if I would ever want to have a pair of shoes that have somebody's blood in it. I just, sorry. But anyways, that's As the World Burns. And thanks, Jay, for sharing your thoughts on that. So, of course, that brings us to one of our most popular segments here on the podcast, Jay. And that is What the F Florida Man. And this is, of course, your segment here, Jay, where you tirelessly comb through the internet. and I use tirelessly. Tirelessly.
You can't Google Florida Man stories and get thousands of hits instantaneously.
Yeah, and
I really have to dredge them.
Right. Yeah, and half of it happened last week. So, so Jay, what do you have this week for us for What the F Florida Man?
Well, actually, this one was sent to me by a great contact I have. This guy has his thumb on the zeitgeist, all things dark. Mostly because it came from Will. Delray Beach, Florida. Delray Beach, Florida. A woman who was recently found naked in a storm drain.
She was naked in a storm drain. Okay.
Naked in a storm drain.
Gotcha.
Must have been chasing red balloons.
Right.
Says she got lost wandering underground tunnels for weeks before she was rescued. But Delray Beach say they have doubts about her story.
Yeah, man. Really interesting story here, Jay. This broke last week, of course, in the town of Delray Beach, Florida, which is one town away from us, literally.
We went to high school.
Yeah, we went to high school there. So, lady, actually, I read into the story. Did you read into the story at all, Jay? It's pretty interesting.
I read the whole thing.
Yeah, so supposedly this lady and her boyfriend, she was at her boyfriend's house or something like that, and she decided to take a swim out into the canal.
Sure she did.
Supposedly, I'm sure there was some type of drugs involved in all this, because that's the only thing that could equate this to even making sense. But this is the story that she
finished her last dose of methadone the day before it happened.
But let's look. I'll tell you the story, and it actually fits. The story actually fits, believe it or not. So she says that she was swimming in a canal, which, first off, God bless you if you decide to swim in a fucking canal here in Florida. I mean, I can't even imagine just the nastiness that's in there. But anyways, number one, she was swimming in a canal. She says that she came up upon a door that was slightly underwater. She decides to go through it, enters a tunnel, and enters a long tunnel and maze of sewage drainage, I guess. She basically ended up from her boyfriend's
Got
house
lost.
all the way to goddamn downtown Delray Beach, which I don't even know how far it was from her boyfriend's, but I'm sure it was pretty lengthy, at least a few miles. And she finally sees people walking on top of her because she can see one of the grates, and she sees feet and people walking, and she finally yells for help, and people find her, and they find her down there naked. So what do you attribute?
Someone driving by says he heard her. Where do we start, William? Where do we start? Okay, let's go ahead and start with the fact that this woman has a lifetime history of, according to her mother, doing strange things because of her condition. And by strange things due to her condition, bad decisions. But listen, that's what acid will do for you. That's just how it works. Just finished her last dose of methadone the day before, and she said she was down there for weeks. But if she was down there for weeks without food or water for nourishment, she'd be dead. Plus, if there was any heavy rains over the last weeks, which I'm pretty sure we've had one or two because, again, it's Florida, she would have drowned to death. So let's go ahead and say all those things. We're just going to take out all that shit. We're going to take all that common sense shit and we're going to throw it out the window. So let's say, yes, she was swimming in a canal, red flag woman, finds the door slightly underwater, and then starts going through these mazes. Who does she think she is? Fucking Laura Croft?
I don't know. But the funny thing is, though, Jay, is that the boyfriend reported her missing exactly about 2.5 weeks prior to this happening. So it seems to be that she may have been down there for at least a couple weeks or at least a week. So I don't know.
Or this could be a crazy woman's way of breaking up with the dude or gaining attention. Yeah, so she doesn't talk or all she had to do was ignore him for a couple weeks. And then this whole story, oh, well, now I have someone who says she's been looking for me for weeks. Did the mom say she was gone for weeks?
Yeah, the mom said that she had not talked to her at all in that time. So she had been gone. So whether she or not she went into the tunnel 2 weeks ago and decided, to stay there, who knows? But that's where they found her. And what a crazy story, huh, Jay?
Addicts will do a lot of things for attention, my guy.
That's true. Well, listen, Jay.
Only in Florida.
Say that again, Jay. I'm sorry, you kind of cut out there.
Only in Florida.
That's correct. Yeah, only in Florida. Imagine that imagine the boyfriend, and like, say for instance, she was missing for like 2 weeks, and people were like looking at him like, "Did you do something to her?" You know what I mean? All the fucking red flags going up. You know what I mean? Poor guy had nothing to do with it, and this crazy ass girl decides to go, sewer diving, for 2 weeks. I mean, I don't understand that, but anyways, to each his own. Well, listen, that's a great story, Jay, for What the F Florida woman this week. And I do appreciate that. So that brings us, of course, to our interview with Mr. Vincent Lords. And of course, you can follow all of his stuff at Paranosis.com. Make sure you check out that site and all his stuff. And we will be getting into that interview here in a second. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Hi, this is Emily Mintow-Stakely with What the Frick Live podcast. You're listening to Dark Fringe Radio.
All right, good evening, Dark Fringe Radio listeners. Tonight's guest is a hypnotist, a paranormal enthusiast, and an entertainer extraordinaire. He is the host of the paranormal phenomenon called Paranosis, which has been mystifying audiences for over 20 years. His deep understanding of the mind and the human intrigue gives him the unique approach to the age-old art of hypnosis, using it as a powerful tool within the confines of the traditional paranormal research. You've also seen him as a contributor and as a guest on the popular series Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel. Please welcome the Subconscious Conjurer, as he calls himself, Mr. Vincent Lords. Vincent, thank you, and welcome to Dark Fringe Radio, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Will. How are you doing today?
Very good, my friend. And man,
Good.
listen, you are a
Yes.
busy guy, huh? You are all over the place.
Yes, but that's good. I'd rather be really busy doing a bunch of stuff rather than just sitting and doing nothing.
That's
So
correct.
it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. And you know what, you have so many things that you're involved with, but the three things that I've kind of pointed out at the beginning of that intro there was, a hypnotist, a paranormal enthusiast, entertainer. What came
Yes.
first? What was the first thing that got you into this whole thing?
It was actually I used to do magic. I didn't really fit into school or sports or anything like that. So I would use magic to mystify my classmates. And that's where I found my niche, that it's okay not to fit in and it's okay to do things a little different than the average kid was doing. And so when kids were out playing video games and stuff, I was practicing and fine tuning the craft of magic to mystify people and just to bring wonder in such a world that didn't exist, because back then we didn't have social media, we didn't have smartphones and stuff, and so we weren't saturated with like CGI and all these crazy
Constant entertainment.
movies.
Yeah.
So I found it within myself to bring that to people without the mediums that we have at our availability in today's society. So it was actually kind of a fun start for me. And that started at like age 8. So that was like a while back. So
yeah, I you know what? I kind of had a similar background. I loved magic. I always was very mystified by it, and I always had a love for it. And then I actually started doing research on it. I didn't even bother trying to practice it, because to me, I would never be good at it. As much as one of those things is I always strive to do perfectly, and I knew
right.
So what I did is I researched the history of it, like Houdini and a lot of those guys.
Yes,
just
absolutely.
very interesting background.
Right. So that's where I got started in the entertainment aspect of my career, spanning back from when I was 8 years old, and then it just progressed. Before popular TV shows like Jackass and stuff, I started a circus sideshow that was doing a lot of the type of stuff that they were picking up on, but before they even existed and stuff like that. And it was just me growing into a young adult, finding out that card tricks weren't really cutting it anymore. So instead I would eat glass or walk on fire, breathe fire. And I started a whole successful run with the circus sideshow for many years.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting.
You look thrilled. You're like,
No. I love that stuff. To me,
cool.
I've always been intrigued by people who are in that business, because me being from Florida, I'm a native of Florida.
Okay, then you know all about it.
Exactly. Gibsonton, is right up in Florida. That's where all the carnies started from, and
absolutely.
Obviously. And I love that kind of lifestyle in a way. It's very intriguing because everybody has their niche. You know what I mean?
Right,
everybody has their thing. And I love that. So let me ask you, Vincent, where did the hypnosis part come into all this whole play?
Okay, so in 2001, back before 2001, everybody's heard of magician David Blaine, I'm sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so he set a world record by being buried alive for 7 days. And he said that mentally and physically, nobody could beat that record. So I studied hypnosis for 3 years. And in 2001, I set the world record and was buried alive for 9 days. So I had to learn hypnosis to actually be able to pull that off. That was not a magic trick. That was not a stunt. Like previous with my history before that, this was 100% the power of the mind. And so it took me 3 years to be able to commit to that kind of sacrifice without it being a trick. There was cameras inside the coffin at all time. There was lights. People could look down the visit port where my oxygen was being pumped down into and communicate with me. Unlike David Blaine, where he was in the glass coffin, I was actually underground. I was consumed. So I didn't know if it was daytime or nighttime.
Wow.
And so to be locked inside of a box for 9 days that wasn't much bigger than myself, I'm 6'6". I couldn't even sit up inside the box. And so mentally I had to prepare myself And my facilitator, Dr. Silkini, taught me the hypnosis because mentally you can't be in a box for 9 days.
Right.
So I would visually meditate and go into hypnosis and leave the box mentally. I was physically there, but mentally I was out in California. I was doing stuff. And it's interesting because that's really where my interest and passion for the paranormal came into tune, because I was able to leave my physical body and go outwards. And I'll tell you some interesting stuff about that here in a little bit. But that's when I realized that the paranormal is all around us.
Right.
We're in this reality and they're in this reality. And there's just that line, that veil, if you will. But once you strip that veil down, they're everywhere and it's all around. And that's when it really hit me that there is a lot of truth to this stuff. I'd always been fascinated. I'd worked in the haunt industry from when I was 13. I'd seen things, but I always just kind of discredited it as an overactive imagination. But in 2001, when I set that record, I realized there's a lot more to meet the eye than what we see with our visual, eyes and stuff like that. So,
yeah, no, that's interesting because, I'm sure you had to get yourself into a different, completely mind space for something like that. I mean, much less being in one room for 9 days.
Right.
How about being in a box for 9 days where there's no room? So,
right.
I mean, you definitely have to put yourself in a completely different mindset space. And I couldn't even imagine. I'm sure you probably have to learn how to reduce your heart rate.
You literally have to hibernate, man.
You have to hibernate, right?
Yeah. And I didn't have access to video games, because I know kids right now are thinking, dude, 9 days in a box with all my tech stuff.
So I was getting Wi-Fi on my cell phone.
Right. I had nothing. I had nothing in there but a rubber band, and the rubber band was to do exercises to keep my muscles from eating themselves and from getting bed sores, because you get muscle apathy and your muscles actually start deteriorating if you're not using them. So I literally had to fast for 3 days because there was no bathroom. Right. And it was as real as it gets. And looking back at that now, I have no idea how I did it, bro. I seriously, I couldn't do that today. Absolutely not. I would go crazy. And maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe I am crazy and this is just all an illusion. I don't know.
Well, no, it's interesting that you can get yourself to that mindset, because you look at people like Wim Hof. I'm sure you're probably familiar with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
a guy that has the world record for being in cold water, for long periods of time, and how he's able to do that. And it's just that takes a completely different mindset to be able to do that. That's just not some guy off the street. You have to be mentally
prepped.
Yeah, definitely for something like that.
Absolutely.
That's so cool that you were able to do that. I'm sure that took a lot out of the. Let me ask you this, because I recently had I did a float spa kind of thing, a float tank.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was actually a pretty cool experience, because I actually experienced hallucinations.
Yes.
Because of the way I was, and just floating in that water, it
takes you to a different mental space, doesn't it, my friend?
Yeah. Let me ask you this: did you have any hallucinations when you were in that state?
Absolutely. I saw things that I will call light beings. I don't know if they were guardian angels. I don't know if I was hallucinating. That was told to me by my psychologist before I went in, that this can happen because prisoners of war will actually, be confined to these spaces as punishment, and they would hallucinate. And before going into them, their instructors would say, if you ever get caught and you're a prisoner of war, don't visualize your reality that you're in. Build a house from the floor up, build something so your mind is not in that confined space, but you're actually building stuff. So as far as hallucinations, can I tell you something really crazy?
Yeah, please.
So it was at Edison Field in Anaheim, California. Mm-hmm. It was designed to raise money for the 9/11 relief fund, because this was right after 9/11 happened. Mm-hmm. So as I went in, nothing was going on. Mm-hmm. They buried me, everything was going on. And then after that, they built a fundraiser haunted house. I had never seen what that looked like, but mentally I saw everything. So when I came out, it was such a trip, because when they opened it and I looked around, I saw everything that I saw in my head before it was ever built.
It's almost like kind of like remote viewing in a way. No?
I believe I did astral project. I 100% did that. I thought I was hallucinating, but in my reality, when I came out and I looked around and I saw that,
you validated it.
I validated it, dude. And it was like, this is real. This is happening. You know what I mean? And I had no other way to be able to know what was around me other than when I got out. So absolutely hallucinations, visualizations, mind prepping, just not being in a box. Because there was a few times I would wake up and I'd start to panic because you're in a box. It takes a second to kind of adjust.
I'm sure.
And my security and facility or like mental team had to call me in and they had to check on me. And if I didn't give them the criteria that we went into, certain passwords, certain things that I had to know, they would exhume me. And now this is scary because they said it would take 9 minutes to exhume me. So be cool. When it actually was done and I set the record, it took them almost an hour to get me out of there. So had there been an emergency, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now, bro.
You would have not been able to make it.
Over. And they thought they had it set up to where they could exhume me in 9 minutes. It took an hour. I was blown away by the lack of urgency that, had emergency arised, I would have been at my own funeral, literally. Like, no pun intended. It would have just been me buried dead.
Isn't that the way that Houdini passed away? Isn't it? Or no, was it?
He was actually punched because he said anybody could punch him.
Oh, that's the way.
So he was punched, and he was in his water torture cell, and the fluids. He actually drowned because of the punch. The fluids went in and killed him on Halloween. It's
wow.
Yeah. Wow. But I mean, he died doing something he loves, and I hate to say that, but I mean, look at the legacy that he left. And so it's interesting. And even his wife, Bess, I don't know if you know this or not, but he was always about trying to debunk the paranormal. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Or at least psychics.
Yes, and psychics, absolutely.
Yeah.
So him and Bess had a secret word engraved on their wedding ring that if he was able to ever come back, and a year after he died, they held a seance on his death anniversary on Halloween, and nothing happened. He wasn't able to make that connection and come through. So that the greatest magician and debunker of all time said if it was possible he would do it, and it didn't happen. And so that was weird. I mean, it makes you wonder, like,
or was it that he got to the other side and saw it and said, I'm not going to validate this.
Why do I want to go back? Right, exactly. Right? Yes.
You never know.
If I ever go, I'm gonna come for you, brother. Me and you are gonna have a code word.
Anytime.
And it's on. Okay, man. Love it.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about the hypnosis and your the Paranosis show that you have going on. So let's talk about it. You have this very interesting way of combining hypnosis and paranormal investigating.
Yes.
Or I guess
yes. Absolutely.
Investigating the paranormal, I guess you could talk about it like that. Talk about that if you could. It's because I find it completely intriguing.
Okay. So for 23 years knowing hypnosis and being able to kind of dabble in it, I've done stage shows. I've traveled the world doing it. I had a clinic. I was certified clinically. But then I realized there's something more to this. So we're aware of 5 senses that we have. And a lot of people think that you have to be stupid or gullible to be hypnotized. And the opposite is actually 100% true, because you have to be a very smart, intelligent person to be hypnotized. And all hypnosis is the ability to tap into your 5 senses all at once. But beyond that, tap into the sixth sense, your third eye chakra, to where you can see things and experiencing things. We're all prone to believe that there's only 5 senses, but anybody that does any energy work or believes in the potential of the human mind, we've got to know and understand that there's more to us as individuals than 5 senses. So with hypnosis, I heighten your 5 senses. I open your third eye chakra, which you can then see through the veil. So with my history with paranormal, I was approached by a paranormal team with my ability and knowledge of hypnosis, rather, I was approached by a team that was all paranormal. And they said, what if we combined the two? And we called it Paranosis. And so we did the two together. And rather than 100% depend on all these magical devices that you see on the popular TV shows,
right?
What if we used our mind and our body as a tool? And so that's where the hypnosis comes in. So we'll go into a location, and we've got our lead investigator, Bennett Rain, and she's all about the techie side of it. I'll take subjects and hopefully take skeptics into a location without them knowing anything about the location. I'll place them under hypnosis, not to plant suggestions, but just to open their mind's eye, their third eye, their sixth sense. I'll let them go through the location 100% by themselves without knowing anything about the location, and they will document what they see. Then, without them talking to Bennett, our lead paranormal investigator, she'll go through knowing the history with all the bells and whistles and all the tech stuff and pick up on stuff. Then we get the two together and we say, where were the hot spots? And you'd be blown away how many times people that don't know anything about the history of the house will actually connect to every room that there's been a murder or a tragedy or something. And these are skeptics that came in saying, hey, the paranormal is fake. But how could you fake that if they're the ones that I'm depending on for the evidence? So they'll come in and say, I'm getting really heavy. I'm almost going to throw up in this room. My neck, we've had a person say, my neck, I just feel like I'm being choked. They didn't know someone hanged themselves in that room. So what are the chances of them going into this location, not knowing anything about it, and being able to pick on that one thing that then Bennett comes in with all the SLS cameras and can document, hey, that's exactly where Jane Doe or whoever picked up on this. And then we collaborate the two together. And that's what Paranosis ultimately is not to prove the existence, but to let every ordinary person out there have their own take on it, rather than a lot of the popular shows you see. They're bringing in and they're casting people, and you're hearing their side of the story, and then you're led to believe, was it real or fake? But what if I brought you, my friend, into a location and you didn't know anything about it? I hypnotized you, and then you nailed every fact about the place. How could you deny that? You know, you can't fake that stuff. You know what I mean?
Absolutely not. Especially on so many levels. Validating with the tech, of course.
Yes.
So you can validate with that, and then validate with the historical knowledge of the location. And then tying all that together, like you said, you know, there's no way of denying that. So basically, in essence, you're just basically turning people temporarily into psychics and throwing them into
and we're letting them experience. Like, it's not my goal to change anybody's belief, or tell them, hey, this is real. My understanding and approach is bring anybody in, hopefully skeptics, you know what I mean? And you experience on your terms, and then you walk away and you tell me what was real or wasn't. And again, I'm not trying to prove the existence. I already know it's there, but it's not my place to try to convince you or anybody else in the world that it's real. I would rather have them tell me, wow, Vincent, I'm blown away. This I can't explain that. That's a beautiful thing when you have that happen. It doesn't always happen, but when it happens, it is magic, dude. It is like,
when you turn somebody from a skeptic into a complete believer.
Absolutely. It connects, and it's magical. So
I could only imagine. I mean, that's just I've never even thought about an idea of such. I mean, I think it's such a great idea. I think it makes perfect sense, especially, you know, placing these people in areas where there's so much residual energy, especially in, you know, some of these places where people have passed away tragically, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, all that residual energy is still there, and then they're picking up on it, which is so cool. Have you ever had such a situation where somebody just, like, it was so overwhelming for them they just had to walk away?
As a matter of fact, just a couple weeks ago we did Saltaire, and I don't know, you're probably not familiar with Salt Lake City as much, but Saltaire was this palace built by the LDS Church and the LA road system, railroad system, to make a connection place for the railroad. But it's on the Great Salt Lake. It's been plagued by tragedy It's burnt down 3 times. It's flooded. Nothing has ever sustained there for over like 160 years. So it's really strange. But we did an event there, and over here I've got this relic, Malenko, and we picked it up and we did some research, and it's actually from a tribe. We're still trying to verify what tribe, but it's a voodoo practitioner that we were able to obtain this. And we brought Malenko in, and the person saw it. They paid good money to be at this event. They saw Malenko and they literally passed out just by the visual of Malenko. So we had to take her out, have the EMT look at her, ask her if she'd been drinking any drugs, made sure she was hydrated. Mm-hmm. She does not even remember seeing Malenko. She doesn't ever remember going up to the display and seeing it. And so to see a grown person react to something that, in my belief, is one of the most haunted objects that I've collected over the years, have that abreaction was really scary to me, because it is evil. And we were told to cover, I don't know if you can see it, but is
that it right there?
Yeah. So it's in this thing, and it's covered with crystals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's the little wooden monkey that stands about 10 inches tall. It was carved by a tribe, and it's been cursed by voodoo. So the voodoo practitioner said, always keep a bag on its head, and therefore it can't absorb or project negative energy. Well, the security didn't know that we were going to keep the bag on the head, so he took the bag off before displaying it, and this happened.
It's like a horror movie waiting to happen right there.
Right. It's insane. So my beliefs are, if you go into something without knowledge and you don't have your protection or your religion or whatever that is, then we're dealing with a force that's unseen. Right. And these people that come in and say, oh, this is fake, and this is, you know what I mean? How can they say that? Because we can only see what we can see on this plane, this reality. Right. But who's to say there's not something around us at all times, good or bad? And if it's bad and we're weak, or we're on drugs, or we're on alcohol or something, or we're depressed, what's to say that can't come in and manipulate us a little bit? Right. So we always say, come in hydrated, no drugs, no alcohol, come in as you, because we don't want weak and stated people. We want you on your best thing, because stuff can happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That idol there, that Malenko thing. So you found that in Utah?
Yeah, we actually found it at one of our investigations at a antique store. Okay. And upon learning about it, they buy all their stuff from estate sales. So they bought this curio, and it was in a box. And so we're doing a Facebook Live, and my assistant didn't know it was in the box. And so she opens the box, and as soon as that happened, stuff was tipping over. We couldn't explain it. So every location that we take Malenko to, something always happens. And it wasn't until about 3 months ago, the practitioner said, cover its head, and it can't see and absorb. And so we still take it, because it's a relic that we hold true to us. He's got his own merch line. He's a celebrity, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Charge him up even more, brother, right?
But it's weird, because people see it and not knowing anything about it, you just see it and you know there's something off with this thing. And it's been a blessing and a curse at the same time.
It's so odd that you would find an item or a relic that was cursed by voodoo in Utah. I mean, that's what we've seen in the South here in Florida, Louisiana, you know what I mean? All in that type of area, but somewhere out in Utah, that's so out of the norm. And I've actually been out to Utah before. I was actually out there in October, and there's a lot of weird shit that happens out there, especially with the guy.
Absolutely.
Weird shit that happens out there.
Absolutely. This is a mecca, and it's believed that the land is cursed here. And I'm not putting any religions down, but when the pioneers came and they settled and they said, this is the place, there was huge massacres on the Native American tribes to take this land from them. And it's been believed that this land is very cursed. And it's not by any surprise that Ghost Adventures has filmed here probably 15 different times, because of the energy that this place holds. It's charged, man.
The whole Utah Basin. You got Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes.
You got what is it? Tree's Family Restaurant, I think it's called out there.
Family Tree, Leslie's Family Tree Restaurant. Yeah.
I mean, so many locations in that one area. You're just like, what the hell is going on there? There's obviously something. And then you talk about the ley lines of the United States, and a lot of that stuff has to do with it. I think I personally believe in that. But what an interesting area Utah is. But absolutely. This is so cool, man. Paranosis I think is such a great idea.
Thank you.
How has this the COVID thing affected you as far as being able to do events? I mean, you have events coming up soon. What's going on with Paranosis right now?
So COVID actually became a blessing in disguise for us. Mm-hmm. We weren't able to do our live events with the public. We were doing 2 a month, so we were on top of the game. Everyone was really getting involved because we invite the public to our events. So what COVID did is it allowed us to get into locations that normally we couldn't get into. But rather than just come in and say, hey, how can we benefit? We raised money for these locations that were closed down that had employees that lost their jobs ultimately, or were put on hold. Like a lot of them were like restaurants and bars, and they had families. So we would come in and we would raise money for them, and then we would give that money over to the employees that didn't have insurance or didn't have careers or didn't have a backup plan to fall on. So it actually gave us a chance to really meet and get into some amazing locations.
Perfect.
But to be able to give back to our community was such a blessing, and it felt so good because we were able to give back to people that just lost their jobs over COVID, which I mean, this has just been crazy, you know what I mean? But since COVID, we've been able to focus more on our filming, and that was the objective, is to be able to educate as many people as we possibly could. And now we're working with Post Malone. He lives out here in Salt Lake. He's a big paranormal investigator. He loves it. So things like you, even, I mean, this opportunity for you, for me and you to be talking right now is a huge blessing. And I thank you for that, because it's getting the word out on a platform that you've created. And I love what you do. And it's unfortunate we've had to bounce it back and forth a few times, but here we are.
That's the way things go, bro. I get it.
Here we are right now.
We got it. We finally got it. That's the main thing. And you know what? I'm very grateful for you coming on. And I've been following you for some time now, and your expertise has been called on numerous shows. I know, especially on Ghost Adventures, those guys. I see you very regularly there. You collect a lot of those curious items, don't you, as well, right?
Not to compete with Zach's haunted museum, but every
you're right there
that we go to, people will gift us things that are haunted. And now we're starting an auditorium. The word auditorium collectively came from oddities, and so we're creating an auditorium of oddities that we'll take on tour with us for people to experience and see. But it's not going to be in one location. We're going to tour to these different locations on these locations and have the display there for people to be able to contribute or just experience on a level. And we're not going to charge for this, because we want to educate. That's our goal, is to educate people that this is real. And if you come into it with an open mind, you're going to experience something. If you go into it with a closed mind, you'll get just that. You know what I mean? So it's like anything you do. If you invest in something mentally, emotionally, you're going to get that same thing back. So we ask people to come in, not trying to change your beliefs or anything, but just come in with an open mind. And we'll almost guarantee something will happen. We've had people connect with loved ones, and it's so touching because we don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, someone will just start bawling. We'll take them aside. You okay? And they're like, what just came through on the spirit box is something that only me and my mom knew about.
Wow.
So to be able to see that connection, whether it happened or not, but to be able to see people have that experience is worth way more than a paycheck to me.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like, wow, this just really happened here. So it's like, wow,
Yeah, because you know what, it changes people, like you said. It changes a person from being so blinded, with these things on.
Yeah.
And then they don't look at anything else, and then all of a
Right.
sudden a completely different world has been opened up to them. And you're
Absolutely.
just like, wow. And then you just see that in a person, and I could just imagine how that affects them. I mean, it's just amazing.
It's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Where's one place that you haven't investigated that you're just dying to get your hands in?
Your studio.
Well, listen, I've caught a lot of EVPs right out of my studio.
Oh, well, I'm sure you have, man.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's so weird. Just having interviews, and I go back and I hear whistling for some reason, and I'm just like, really? I'm like, for no reason. I get these things, but yeah. But what's one place? Seriously though, I mean, there's got to be somewhere you haven't been to.
Okay, so we were invited last October to Skinwalker Ranch. Okay. Yeah. But it was the property adjacent to Skinwalker Ranch. So we didn't have permission to go on to Skinwalker Ranch. But now through Post Malone and Brandon Frugal with his TV show, we're now setting that trend. We're going to come in because that to me is paranormal. We're dealing with potential extraterrestrial. It's a plethora of weird stuff. And it's been going on like ever since I can remember, back when the government took over and the cows were being mutilated.
Right.
That was at my youth. And I just remember, like, what is this place going on? And like, what is this? You know what I mean?
I remember the TV show. I don't know if you remember this. How old are you, Vincent? Let me ask you.
I'm 49.
Okay. So I'm close to your age.
Okay, cool.
Mid 40s. So sightings. You remember sightings?
Yes.
Okay. They actually did a special on that. And I remember that being such a weird place because, like you said, there was not only aliens, you had spiritual, like skinwalkers, you had ghosts, you had all different kinds of things mixed up into one thing.
Everything, huh? Yeah. It's like everything.
So it seems like it's like the mecca of like the paranormal out there.
Yes.
Do you really feel like that's like one of the like the most charged places in the United States?
Well, I'll tell you, we were in a camper and we were with the host that owned the property, and we were sleeping. It was about 3:00 in the morning. The trailer started violently shaking, so we figured he came in, like maybe left, used the bathroom, whatever, and came back in. So we opened the door to the master bedroom there, and he's not even in there, and we're like, what the heck? So we call out to him. He's probably 200 feet away, just trying to like get some sleep and like try to clear his mind and stuff like that. Dude, legit, the trailer was shaking. Wow. We don't know what entered or what didn't enter. Yeah. So we go out there and we're just sitting. This is about 3:30 at this time because we were just trying to wrap our mind around it. And we saw lights come into the sky about the size of a football stadium. It was like something that you would see at a halftime show where you saw all these lights come and do this thing. And it was a vortex. And he says, oh, that's just a portal. And we're like, just a portal?
He's just
nonchalant about it. Like, oh, that happens. And we're just like, did we eat something we weren't supposed to? And this is like, we're hallucinating here? Or like, what?
Right, yeah.
It was insane, dude. Like, to try to compare a size, I would say a football stadium, about 2 miles away from us, and it the way it did it, it was just unbelievable. And to this day, I do not know what it was, how it happened, but I turned to my partner and I said, "Did you just see that?" And we all saw it, and we cannot explain it. I don't know. Maybe it's someone playing a trick, but to go to that level, to have all that light,
right?
That's what I mean. It's like, okay, what's going on? And then we were told never, ever to go into the community and talk about Skinwalker Ranch, ever. We were hush. They're so believing in it. And
it's like the boogeyman.
It's almost like a curse. Yeah, it's almost like a curse. So if you bring it up, you'll be ran out of town, he said. So we now just have to act like that happened. We saw a portal. And the way he's just like, oh, that's just a portal.
That's so crazy.
It's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, just a portal. You know what I mean?
That's stuff that you see in movies. That's not something you see every day.
To this day, I don't know what happened, man. It freaks me out to this day, but it makes me more curious to want to go on there with all of our equipment and really, like, zone into this place. And we've got friends that have flown drones over there, and they're actually facing criminal time because it's a no-fly zone. Like,
oh, is it really?
They're like not messing around up there, even though it's out of the governor's hands.
Right.
It's a no-fly zone. So they're covering something up. I don't know what it is.
Obviously, yeah.
And maybe it's just a big publicity stunt, but what I saw with my own two eyes, I cannot dismiss as anything other than a phenomenon or paranormal related, or a hoax that probably would have cost $500,000. And I just don't see anybody. You know what I mean?
It's way too elaborate, like you said, just to get a rise out of two guys that are out there, right?
Yeah, it was just nuts.
It doesn't make sense, right?
No,
and then the whole weird, factor that you can't repeat any of this to any of the people in town.
Yeah.
What are we? Is this like Freddy Krueger or something? Like what's
going on? It was weird, but. To this day, that's one place that I really want to go in and dissect.
Yeah.
And more than anything, debunk. Because to be a good paranormal investigator, you always want to debunk everything first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes you debunk it and you're like, oh, cool. But there's some stuff I've seen, dude, that you can't debunk. As a matter of fact, can I share this thing about Ghost Adventures?
Please, yes.
So 2.5 months ago, I was doing a Facebook Live there, and we're recording. So there's this soldier that supposedly roams around, because right now the 3rd edition of Saltaire is an old airplane hangar. They resurrected an airplane hangar. So there's supposedly, through folklore and like the employees, a soldier that paces back and forth. Well, I'm at the top of the set of stairs that is steel, and legit our obelisk goes off. I'm like, what was that? And you see me physically get pushed down the stairs head first. I had equipment, so I couldn't brace myself. I hit myself in the head on the railing, get a concussion.
Wow.
Ghost Adventures heard about that. They flew out the next week, and that's that whole episode that will air, I'd imagine, probably May, I would imagine.
Right.
But that was the whole focus. Zach said, in 28 years that I've been doing this, Vincent, I've never physically seen on camera someone violently be pushed. I've heard rumors, I've heard stories about it, but you are the only person that I've actually physically got a video. And so they're going to air my video. And for your viewers, I've got it up on my Facebook, so you can actually see it before it even hits Ghost Adventures.
Awesome.
Don't tell anybody that. But dude, it was weird because you can't fake that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hit head first. It wasn't like my arms went out before me. It was shoved so hard and so violently that my head hit first, and I had a concussion. Security had to run over. It was legit, like probably one of the scariest physical things in my life. And after that, man, I'm like, I'm playing at a different level. I'm protecting myself on every level possible.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, like, I'm sure after something like that, I'm sure it shook you up a little bit.
Absolutely.
How did you feel like right after? I mean, like for me, like if I'm putting myself in that situation, I'm like, if I felt like that, something pushed me. Like, the first thing I would have thought, like, who the fuck pushed me? Like, I would have looked back at the guys, like, who pushed me? Right?
Yeah.
And then that would have been my first reaction. And then it would have probably sunk in that nobody else pushed me, but something did push me.
Yeah.
So how did you feel?
No one was around me.
Yeah.
No one was around me. My security detail was at the bottom of the stairs. They saw me. They reacted first.
Oh, so
there was nothing else. Out of it. I didn't remember where we were, what was going on, why I had been, at the bottom of the stairs. They pulled me out. They checked on my vitals. They said, you got a mild concussion. I canceled the rest of the night. They investigated. Wow. But then going back a few days later and looking at that, it terrified me because I realized I was pushed by something I couldn't see.
Right.
Now, you can have guns and you can be bad and you can, you know what I mean? Someone comes at you, you can prepare yourself. But when something physically has that much power to affect you the way it affected me, I realized at that very moment, I'm playing with something bigger than me. And maybe it shouldn't be taunted. Maybe I need to take a little time off and really evaluate this. But then I realized I wanted that. Like not consciously, but subconsciously, this is what I'm out to show the world, that we're dealing with stuff. And so as much as I wanted to take some time off, and everybody's like, dude, just take a summer off, just go do your thing. Part of me is like, no, this is what I've wanted for 28 years. This is what I've wanted. And now it happened. And I'm mad, scared, and it's validated.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's going to be on national TV. I want people to realize that this isn't just a hobby, that this is a commitment that you make. It's not a deal with the devil, but it's a deal with something that you can't see. And it's got to be taken seriously, because a lot of these people that just, everyone's a paranormal investigator on YouTube, you know what I mean?
But they just go in there with no respect, and they don't have any. I understand.
I almost feel like it's my calling to say, this is real, guys. This can affect you. It can affect your family. It can affect your friends. It can affect your mentality, because you can't just walk out and tell everybody, hey, I just got pushed down the stairs by a poltergeist. You're going to be in a padded room, and that's that. That's it. Game over, right?
They were like, that Vince again. I don't know what's wrong with him, man. I don't know.
And shortly after, a friend of mine made this protection omelet to wear, and it was a couple days after that, I was really meditating, and this shattered, and I wasn't doing anything other than just meditating, and it broke and fell off. And that's when I realized, Vincent, you've opened something. You either close it or prepare and like protect yourself. You know what I mean? It was like, this is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just hard to get people to kind of buy into it, because so much of what you see on TV is TV. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, of course. There's a level of sensationalism, but there is also a level of realness there too that most people don't really realize.
Right. Yeah.
Like you said, that you don't know what you're messing with until you think you have a plan until you get pushed.
Yeah.
You know. What I mean?
Yeah. You don't know what to do. It's like, man.
Right. Yeah, and that totally changes a person, I'm sure. And so I'm sure that amulet there, you'd probably try to take every type of precaution now before you even do anything now, right?
Yeah, I've got stones. Like even right now, just talking to you about this, I've got my pockets just full of protection stones.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people say, well, Ouija boards are evil and stuff. I believe anything can be a conduit. And just even me and you talking about this is not necessarily opening a portal,
right.
But we're giving attention to something that's out there. So why couldn't it be around us? We're not using Ouija boards. We're not provoking anything.
Right.
But we're giving it attention. And
that's
so
energy.
By doing that, exactly. It's like, it's stuff. It happens. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Exactly. But we're talking about that guy back there too.
Yeah.
But,
I just thought I heard something right now. I was like,
oh yeah. Well, listen, Vincent, man, this has been a pleasure. Tell everybody where they can follow, you and Paranosis. I know Paranosis.com, correct?
Yeah, Paranosis.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram at VLords13. Paranosis on Instagram is Real Paranosis. You can find us on Facebook. And yeah, we want people that are serious about this. You know what I mean? This isn't about publicity. This isn't about anything other than doing the same thing you're doing, is just educating people and giving people a platform to express themselves. So I'm beyond grateful that you gave me this opportunity. You're a great guy, and I want to come on the show more. I love the vibe. You're a good guy, dude.
Hey, man, listen, absolutely. Anytime. You are awesome. And like I said, it's been a pleasure having you. It's been some time we've been talking and trying to get this done, and I'm glad that we were able to finally do it. You're more than welcome to come on anytime. We can do maybe another special follow-up pretty soon.
Thank you.
We can do something, definitely. But
thank you.
Yeah, Vincent, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and promoting all your stuff. We're going to have you back on in the future, my friend. And thank you so much.
Absolutely. Dark Fringe Radio. Thank you so much, Phil. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Love and light, brother.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. Hey guys, Will Martinez here, and I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Mr. Vincent Lords. Of course, you can follow all of his stuff at paranosis.com. Make sure you follow him, of course, as well on Instagram at VLords13. Make sure you keep up to date with all his stuff. We really appreciate him for coming on the podcast. Definitely going to have him come on again in the future. Very interesting individual, very interesting guest. So, of course, Jay, before we say goodnight to everybody, we have one final segment before we say and bid adieu to everyone, and that is what to watch. And that's, of course, your recommendation for what to watch for this weekend. What do you have for this week for what to watch, Jay?
I actually have two things.
All right.
I have two things. Two shows have kind of caught me over this last week, and when I'm working from home, I'm in my office, actually, which I'm in right now.
Glowing office.
Doing all, well.
Yeah.
I like it. Like, what can I say?
Hey, man.
I do a lot of curriculum work out here, and I always like to have something in the background. I've always found that when I have something to listen to, even though I'm not really but half listening to it, it just helps me move faster.
Right.
So these two shows have gotten me hooked, and I've actually gone through both of them in the last week. The first one is called Blown Away.
Okay.
We talked about another show I love called Forged in Fire, where they take these four blacksmiths. It's like reality challenge TV, and they have to make something utilizing what they've been given.
Right.
Blown Away is semi-similar, but it's a lot more artistic. So Blown Away is actually a bunch of glass blowers, and they show these cool blown glass sculptures. So we'll take four glass blowers,
right,
and they give them multiple challenges, and they eliminate them. Ultimately, at the end, they end up having to do like they have to fill like this entire room with these glass sculptures. Some of the ones are ones they've made throughout, but they have to make a lot of original pieces. And some of the things they can do with glass is interesting to see what they can do, what they can out there, what they show, how they can convey thoughts, memories, ideas, all through these glass sculptures. It's impressive.
Yeah, no, it is. I've actually seen it done in front of me, by Ann. It's just a very amazing, just technique, just
skill.
Yeah, skill. It's just amazing and
unbelievable
hard work
skill
too, because you're dealing with hot fire constantly, and it's constantly it's tough work. It's not easy at all by no means, but yeah, that's cool. That's a cool show. I'll have to check it out. Blown Away. What's your second one for tonight here, Jay?
The second one's called Project White Rabbit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Project White Rabbit, and this is kind of right up your alley too.
Sounds like it.
Do you remember the show Mythbusters?
Yeah, of course.
So there was the B team on Mythbusters with Carrie, Tori, and Grant. So they now have their own show on Netflix called Project White Rabbit. What they'll do is they'll take a topic, like the one I was just watching before we came on, was in jailbreaks. Okay. So there is a conspiratorial. They show some things, they give some information, they try to recreate some of the things, and then they will rank them from 1 to 6. They do, each one gets 2 different stories they do, and it's cool to see how they not only how they test or how they show some of the background stuff, some of the mindsets, some of the technology, or some of the thought processes behind these things, how it affects our human day-to-day life. And it's really interesting to see some of the stuff they come up with. Like they were one of the things they did, they showed actual footage from 130 former French soldiers who were captured during World War II, escaping a Nazi camp. And they actually have video footage that these soldiers took of them, the things they would do. And it's amazing the things that these people were capable of doing, what they did. And then of course they go through, and they didn't really recreate that one, but just to see and hear some of these things that we would otherwise never know. Oh, I'm sure. It's pretty cool stuff that they do, and it's got kind of that Mythbusters. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's light. Got a lot of real good content and some really good episodes. So, awesome. Project White Rabbit is if you're gonna do one or the other, do Project White Rabbit. But I would suggest both. Nice. I'm gonna check them both out. That's both up both my alley. So love glass blowing and love conspiracy shit. So of course. We know you love the blow. I do. Well, listen, Jay, thanks so much for those suggestions for what to watch. Again, just want to remind everybody how you can listen to the podcast. Just go directly to our website, darkfringeradio.com, and you can follow us everywhere on
social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Dark Fringe Radio. So make sure you go ahead and do that. I really appreciate Jay, you coming on for tonight, doing another episode. Anything to add for another ending to this week's podcast?
Actually, I do a slight thing, and I hope a lot of people listening to this. Is one of those things that kind of caught me today.
Soapbox.
A little one though.
Do it.
Tiny one.
Do it.
Tiny one. Keep in mind, folks and friends, that everything you see in the media, it's there to incite a reaction. Keep in mind that we're all just people. If you treat people decently, they'll more often than not treat you decently back. If they don't, you can just walk away from them. There's no need to get into a war of words, calling each other things. With all the hate going on, the anti-Asian stuff, and of course the Black Lives Matter. There's so many different race topics out there. But at the end of the day, if we treat each other genuinely and decently, no matter what color you are, no matter who you are, it's going to go good. So I really hope that we all keep that in mind and we just treat each other with kindness.
ELE, everybody love everybody.
Love that movie.
That's a great movie, right?
Love that movie.
For those that don't know, that's
Jackie
Semi-Pro,
Moon.
by the way. And if you haven't seen it, listen, that's a good suggestion for a comedic what to watch. That's what I'm going to throw in for what to watch.
You know what?
If you guys haven't seen
Bonus.
Semi-Pro, watch Semi-Pro. It'll make you laugh. It'll put a smile on your face, okay?
That scene with Woody Harrelson, his ex-girlfriend, and her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And you already know which one I'm talking about. I'm not going to give it a Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Oh, classic. Well, anyways, listen, guys, thanks so much for joining us on another edition of Dark Fringe Radio. Of course, I'm Will Martinez. There's Jake Alosi. We're Dark Fringe Radio, and we'll see you guys again next week.